Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Between comments on the previous video and comments on Instagram, I figured I needed to do a little better job of talking about these pouches. So here we go. I'll say it twice in the video. But this is a togther Pro single pistol. Also says flashlight holder, tactical tool pouch. But this is it. That's on Amazon. Here they are. This is probably for sheaths this size, so it's just not something crazy funky. Probably what's going to be going on my smaller sheaths whenever I do a pouch, sheath pouch kit. It holds a bunch of stuff. Here was the first one that we used it on. This is my buddy Ed's El Pañero design from Tops. And what I done was I took the factory Kydex sheath and took the clip off and used it to make a leather belt loop there. And then I put the sheet or the pouch on with zip ties, and I just went with where the holes were versus where I put it together. And this one I melted a hole in the back side of it and run the zip tie all the way through it like that. This one I did it a little different. I zip tied just through the bottom, and I went through the lark's head underneath where the top Velcro strap goes. And that's how I done that. The melting the holes in the pouches I've found to be really effective. So when you melt it, it melts all of the fibers together, and it doesn't like fray and come apart as bad. But as long as if you poke it through there and then zip tie it and it stays really tight, it doesn't fray that much either, from what I found on other ones. If it drags on stuff or a lot of friction will cause it to fray a lot of times. But I went ahead and started putting some stuff in the one that's on the knife of the month. So the knife of the month is Cold Steel SRK-C. Cold Steel. And I had bragged about the sheath, the amount of room that was on the sheath. And I put the pouch on there, of course. And then I put 2 pieces of bicycle inner tube. So I used some of the large pre-cut Ranger bands and then a piece of bicycle inner tube. And I took this loose and slid the large piece of bicycle inner tube up first. And then I put a large one over it, and then I secured this back down. And what that let me do is when I took my ferro rod, and there's also some, I got safety pins just looped on it and pushed back behind it. So they're back there, but just looped through the large Ranger band and held against the piece of bicycle inner tube, which they're both the same thing, but I'm calling them 2 separate things so you can understand which is which. And then regardless of what you put in there, I'd put a flashlight on this side also, but I went between the bicycle inner tube and the Ranger band and slid just a 5/16 Bayite ferro rod with a Wazoo survival gear ceramic scraper, and a piece of shot cord. And then what I do with the shot cord is I pull it tight and then go under itself, and then that keeps it from falling out of the spot there. So it's held up against it both directions there. So it kind of puts like a lark's head around this and holds it into the sheath, while it also rides on the sheath very well. Up and down wise, it doesn't go anywhere. And you can put other things on here too, you know, regardless of what you had. If you wanted to put like a little piece of fatwood in there, depending on where you attached it, you could take and go, say, from the back with this piece of fatwood. I'll slide it in on the back here, and then just go right around the corner, and that fatwood would ride right there. And that's just the easy way of putting it on there. Slide it through in between those two and just put it around. So I had done a flashlight like that also. I put the flashlight on here so the belt clip was over this large ranger band, and then I just slid it around, and I ended up not wanting that. It just had too much hangy stuff on it. A lot of the hangy stuff is shot cord on here, so it has a little bit of freedom to move around a bit if I need to. But I just used one of these small O-lights, and I dummy corded it on there so it wouldn't fall out. And for the other stuff that I put in there, it's pretty straightforward, not a whole bunch of super crazy stuff. I got 2 tinder tabs in there too. They like to get stuck down in the bottom. But there's two of these tinder tabs there. It'll focus. 2 of them poke down in there. And then I've got my ferro rod and scraper and a flashlight. I have a small button compass. I have a diamond stone. It's about 600 grit. It's really shiny on the back. Like, I've played with these things a lot. You can get some pretty good flashes with this thing, actually, if you were to use it as a signal mirror. And then I have a piece of fatwood that has 2 small pieces of bicycle inner tube on the ends, and then it's in a larger piece. And then inside that larger piece, I have Wazoo survival gear hardware tube is on one end. So I have the hardware tube that's got hooks, weights, safety pins, and sewing needle in there. And then it's got the braided cord in there also. And then I have a large sail needle and a ceramic rod poked down in there also. And the only other thing I need for this is I need to make me an awl to put down in there. And that'll be going pretty good. I'd like to get me a few more rim grit jigsaw blades also to put down in there. Those are pretty handy when you get playing around with them. You can make some pretty fun stuff with one of those. And that's basically it for gizmos and goodies. Just fire stuff. Firecraft stuff is mainly what I end up putting in things too, and repair things. And a fishing kit. I like putting a fishing kit in them because sometimes the opportunity arises where you can go fishing if you have fishing stuff. And if you just have a hook and some line, you can fish most of the time. We were at Pathfinder gathering in 2017, I think. And I think it was 2017. And they had a handline class that was just water bottles. And you just put your string and your hook and weight on a water bottle, and that's what you used to fish with. And my oldest daughter ended up winning a really cool cane pole prize because she was just snatching them brim like nobody's business. So it doesn't take much. A hook and a line and a little bit of practice, and you can pull panfish all day with one of those things. So that's what I like to keep in my little pouches like this. But the pouch itself, overall, from the bottom of the pouch to the, so for the pouch itself, not counting these little hickeys on top, is 4 inches tall, and it's about 1.5 inches wide. So it's 4 inches by 1.5 inches. In depth is, it's about 1.5 inches too, once you start getting stuff poked down in it. And it has I've already got it on here, but the back has a belt loop on there. I may have cut it off of the one on this one. I think I cut it off. This one is still on there. You can barely see it back down in there. So it just folds over and pokes into itself, and that's how it does with pawl webbing or molly stuff. And this also has the ability that if it came off or something happened, I could clip it onto my belt if I wanted to. But for most things, we're not going to tear these, we're not going to break these zip ties unless you're just crawling through something crazy. But again, this was the, let me share it. I know people don't watch all of the videos. They like to pick specific parts to complain about. It is the togther Pro single mag pouch. And it's 12 bucks. Bunch of different colors, but that's her. Anyway, I just wanted to share. Had a lot of questions on Instagram. I had also put it in my stories, a screenshot of the pouch in my stories, as well as I've answered a bunch of questions about it, but this is much easier. Check out all our roller stuff at Bushcraft Kelso on Instagram. There's lots and lots of, there's 8,800 posts on things over there, so lots of information over that way. Check out bushcraftkelso.com for gizmos and gadgets. I got some family stuff I have to do today, but I'm going to be in the forge tomorrow restocking a bunch of stuff, so keep your eye out for that. Again, thanks for the support. Follow along. Hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, later.